Okay, hello everybody. I just thought I'd make a little video today about the positive benefits of living on a canal for prepping. There's a lot of obvious uses and, some maybe not so obvious. Let's start with some of the not so obvious ones. Let me say a little bit about this canal first of all. Just down the way, maybe about half a mile, it connects to a series of freshwater canals. When it gets a lot of rain, it will overflow into this canal. So this canal is not real salty most of the year. Forget the word for it right now, but it's most of the time when I've tested, since I have a saltwater aquarium, I can test the water. And even in the driest part of the year, like in the spring, when we haven't had a lot of rain, it doesn't even really get that close to half the saltiness of regular seawater. So in that sense, that's a big advantage for me. Not everybody has that, but for me that helps. So some of the less obvious things you can do with this is washing the dishes. Okay, you can use this water to wash the dishes. Even if it was really salty, that would be fine. You can use it for showers. So you could use this water, like if you have a solar shower like I do, which I have a video on that, it could be used for that. It would be a lot more enjoyable the less salty it is, but it could still easily be used for that. So that would save you a lot of water right there, not have to use your fresh water, which freshwater reserves I have. I have the rainwater, which I have a video on, my ghetto rain barrel system, and I have a 10,000 gallon pool. So there are sources of my fresh water there. But this water is very useful. Another way you can use this water is for cooking. Now, full strength seawater for most things is too salty to cook with. I've done some research on it, especially people who are mariners who live out on yachts and things out in the ocean. So I was reading some of those sites. Most things it's too salty to cook with, but you can dilute it. Now the water here, since it's not full strength, could be used for cooking most types of things that use waters, with pastas, potatoes, things like that. Although beans, from what I was reading, is not good because beans have, I guess, these small little pores on them where the salt can get in and interfere with the swelling of the bean from the water. So beans probably should be pure fresh water. But most other things, diluted salt water, which this is pretty much is almost all the year, would be fine for cooking. So that would save you water. So I think those are some of the biggest ones that the water could be used for. So that would save me a lot of water there in an emergency situation. Now, of course, the other obvious thing that a canal is good for is food. I think in a lot of canals that people live on, they're full of mullet. This has mullet all year long, and you need a cast net. So I have been able to cast net mullet from the seawall here before. It's not easy. It would require a lot of patience. Some days you might get them within an hour, and some days it could be all day. But there are constantly mullet out here all year. Luckily, there is a little bridge about 3-4 minute walk away from here. There's a bridge where the canals intersect, and that would be an excellent place, in my case, to cast net mullet. Because on a bridge overlooking something like that's a lot easier to see them, a lot easier to get them. But mullet would definitely be possible. Crabs, crab traps, or you can make crab traps out of egg crates. Crabs are in this canal. I've caught plenty of them back here, and they're definitely a food source. And of course you have the obvious fish. Some of the sport fish that you catch back here, which I've caught, are redfish, snook. Those are the two main ones, and also some small mangrove snapper. And those are, the obvious ones that people love to eat. But, a lot of the fish that people consider trash fish are actually very edible. And those are always more plentiful, it seems like. For example, catfish, your saltwater hardhead catfish. There's nothing wrong. If you really research that, there is nothing wrong with eating saltwater catfish. In fact, they are just as good, and I've eaten them, They're just as good and tasty as catfish that you buy in a store, especially if it's fresh. There really is no difference. So it's really kind of I don't know how it got started that you shouldn't eat hardhead catfish. There's nothing wrong with them. They taste fine. So that's one that I can catch catfish almost at will back here, as long as I got bait. So those are very easy to catch. Another thing back here, sometimes jack crevalle come up these canals. Jack crevalle are actually very good to eat. Again, they have the reputation of not a good eating fish, but if you grill them, put them on a grill, wrap them in foil for about 10 minutes, I've had them. They're delicious. I think they're great. Ladyfish, another fish people don't think of when they think of eating. But if you're hungry and the stores are closed or you can't get meat, then you eat about anything. Ladyfish, what I was reading, what you do, since they're really bony, and that's the biggest problem with eating them, is you fillet them out and you take a spoon and then you scoop the meat out, and that will keep the bones from getting in, and then you make fish balls with breadcrumbs or something. So ladyfish are actually very edible if you do that method. I haven't actually tried that, but I did read, found a site where that was described, and I believe it. That sounds like a reasonable thing that you could do. So those trash fish, which are more common things that you catch a lot of times in canals or places where you live, if you live on the water, those actually could really sustain your diet and help stretch your food supplies if things got tough. Now, if you had really an economic collapse, you had really hard times, would there be a lot more fishing pressure? Sure. But, well, it's yes and no, really. Because if you had economic hard times, I would think that boat traffic would greatly reduce. Gasoline prices would be a lot higher. So I think fishing pressure from boats would be greatly reduced, actually. There might be more pressure on land, but depending on the scenario, it may balance itself out, or I don't think fishing stocks would be greatly reduced, unlike hunting with deer and rabbits and stuff. I think they would crash their populations, but I don't know about fish. I think that depends on a lot of factors, and there's a lot of scenarios where I think the fish populations themselves may not take a big hit, or much of a hit at all beyond normal fishing pressure. It just depends on what happens, but the scenarios I can think of, fishing pressure would be greatly reduced from boats because of the expensiveness of fuel. And I think that would even out, increase pressure from fishing from land, in canals and stuff like that. So anyway, just thought I'd make a video on this. I know it doesn't apply to everybody, but there are a lot of people in the southeast especially, that live on canals or, near the water like this. And, you want to think of all the uses you can have for it. All right, signing out. Thank you.